Hello and welcome to my short video on adding a power unit to... Is it going to play? Yeah. Adding a power unit to my Kerbal National Space Station. You see that's what I call this Kerbal National Space Station power. What I'm doing at the moment, currently in the builder, I actually forgot to record. I apologise, I forgot to record me building the rest of it, but it's fairly simple. It's just some monopropellant tanks, a remote guidance unit, inside that service space just a load of batteries, a docking port on top, some RCS thrusters around the side, and two sets of gigantor solar panels down the side of just an empty fuselage, with some docking ports leading to the fairing, and you see a fairly basic rocket at the bottom, comprised of two mainsail engines on the outside, a skipper in the middle, and I believe there's a second skipper stage. It didn't actually need that second skipper stage as it ended up, but never mind. It's way overpowered, to be fair. Now you might have noticed there is actually something missing on this craft, and I've been having this issue all day actually. It's not in the game stuff, although I have been having some odd bugs. It's me. It's me. I've just been very, very silly today, and I keep forgetting to do things. So you'll see now, I'm getting very high very fast. I'm not moving. I'm starting to think to myself right now, why? Why is that? You see, I try and move now. Everything's very, very wobbly. Oh. And I don't know whether you've clocked it yet. What's missing? But we'll see. I will reveal this information. Let's go again, I think to myself. And I genuinely was at this time thinking, what the hell's going on? So you can see now I'm starting to, you can see my little things going, I'm starting to manoeuvre my little thrusters a little bit sooner now. Mostly in the hopes of actually trying to get this into space. My way of dealing with that, because it has got so much extra delta V, was effectively just to go very, very fast, have an awful, terrible descent profile, and just basically brute force it. You can see here what I've done. My apoapsis is currently near space. I just allowed myself to go very high above where mostly the atmosphere will affect me, rather than a gentle turn, just immediately turned horizontally and full forced it. It's not great, it's cheap and dirty, but it worked. It got this piece of Kerbal National Space Station into space. So, see me here, just setting up my apoapsis. Trying to get it roughly in line at the 100-kilometre mark with the Kerbal National Space Station, where I've set the Kerbal National Space Station to sit. It sits at roughly that height. So I'll speed myself outward now. Yeah. By the way, I don't know if you clocked what was missing. It was the fins. I haven't put any fins on it. I even had somebody in my Twitch chats going, "It's the fins, bro." Lol. Unfortunately, I wasn't paying attention to my Twitch chat, so I didn't see this message. And then for the next several hours today, kept forgetting to put fins on. Anyway, back to this mission that we're seeing here, the footage that we're seeing here. So it's fairly dull. You can see I've put my solar panels out at this point because there was a previous attempt at this where I forgot to put the solar panels out, I ran out of power, the whole thing died. So make sure you've just got enough power to actually get through the mission that you're trying to do. It's a very short mission. I assumed I would have it. I didn't. It's kind of frustrating really, but you know, never mind. Never mind. Okay. I'm going to skip a little bit forward now in my footage. So, right. You can see here I'm setting the Kerbal National Space Station as target. I've just skipped ahead to where I've got my orbital velocities correct, and I'm in a proper orbit now. So first things first, I go to the ascending node. I turn anti-normal to make sure that I can actually get on the correct plane as the Kerbal National Space Station. It just helps with your distance. You'd be surprised how much, even though they look fairly close, how much distance that actually is. And just for the sake, normally, of efficiency, you'd want to get them quite a lot closer than, you know, as close as you can, effectively. So, I'll come around here, just quickly close off that 0.1. There we go. So, again, I just kind of brute forced this. You can see the purple line coming around. So I realised that my intersects were very far away, so I just went prograde so that my orbit would be slower than the Kerbal National Space Station. And just again, brute forced it. Most of the time what you'd normally do is time warp forward, so you can get a little bit closer and work with that. 1 kilometre was as close as I was able to get it on this run. So I ditched the largest part there, even though it did have some fuel left in it. Mostly because I wasn't able to turn very well, even though I had one of the largest reaction wheel on this craft. I wasn't able to turn properly because it's too big. I was able to get within 0.2 kilometers using the smaller Poodle engine. So time warp ahead. So what you want to do now, if you're trying to find your target, is you switch the target on your nav ball, point yourself retrograde, and that will show you the going to target shows you your relative speed to the target as opposed to your orbital velocity. So the difference between the speeds we're travelling at. For me, that was about 300 meters a second. So what you do is you point your retrograde and you burn all of that off. This is for anything, whether it's Kerbal National Space Station, whether it's a rendezvous with a lost Kerbal, anything. So burn off retrograde. Get it to 0. The easiest thing to do is to get it to 0, basically. I amusingly haven't taken my own advice there. Then you want to point towards your target, which for me, it was 2 kilometers away at this stage. So I point myself at my target. You burn to get some speed. Again, point retrograde, because as you can see as it approaches, you're not going to be quite on course. So you burn off your speed again. Now I'm pretty cavalier in this because I know what I'm doing. I've done rendezvous and whatnot many times. So I've set myself to control from the docking port. I've also set the docking port that I want to clamp onto as the target, rather than the vessel itself. It just allows you to be a lot more accurate. It's something you definitely want to do. So again, turn around and face the target. So at this point I'm turning off the engine and switching to RCS. So square myself off so I can actually turn to docking mode. And then you can use your WASD keys and QE as well. You can obviously spin yourself. But you can use your WASD keys. I believe it's shift and control to move forwards, back, up, down, left and right. In all of your directions. So I was trying to line myself up here. You can see on the nav ball at the bottom I'm pointing directly to the target. I've got the target set as on my manoeuvre nodes as my SAS. You can see my little prograde marker. I'm not pointing directly at the target at the moment. I'm just trying to move left and right to sort of just to be able to line myself up there. Frustratingly, I was doing it visually. I don't know why I just always do it. It's much easier if you do it off the nav ball. If you can get that prograde marker directly into the target marker. You do need to still pay attention that you're actually lined up correctly, because you could be going straight at the target, but not actually pointed in the correct direction. You could be off by a little bit. And generally, there is some room for error, as you'll see actually with my craft, but generally what you want is to be pretty precise. Because whilst there is some room for error, you can completely destroy your ships if you're off. The Kraken likes to come up quite a lot. So you can see now. Boom. Oh, yeah. So there we go. I was able to connect up. I then disconnected using the decoupler there. I disconnected the engine, which what I should have done is put some sort of remote guidance unit or some sort of probe on the engine, and then I would have been able to send the engine crashing back to Kerbin on its own accord. Unfortunately, I didn't. I had to leave it there. So I did use the remaining RCS of the station, of what I just hooked up, to just move out of the way so I didn't end up crashing into it or something like that, and I later deleted it in the tracking station. But yeah, I was quite happy with that as a mission, to be honest. I thought it went quite well. I'm not the best at docking. I know when you first start docking it can feel incredibly difficult, but if you practice, like, I'm not very good at docking at all. I personally feel I got quite lucky with that, and that was not a difficult dock either. I normally use the lazy method of docking, which I actually, when I go and put the other side, I make this symmetrical. As the video continues, you see I make this symmetrical, and I use a very lazy method of docking in my next one, just because it was rambling on. The video's starting to approach sort of 23 minutes, and I was just thinking, yeah, nah, I'm not doing that. So yeah, actually, you see what I do there? I release myself. Just pause that video there. What I did there was I released myself because I wasn't happy with the orientation of my solar panels. So I just hit the decoupler on the decoupler node and just reorientated myself using Q to just, on a 90-degree, turn around like that. So quickly set myself as a target, bring up the docking mode and push forward. Yeah, just quickly, I didn't quite get it the first time. It's a little bit off. But there you go, I was able to... So you see there is a margin for error, and there's almost a sort of magnetism between the two docking ports. So it can be done. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I was able to get a solar panel structure on, and there's a docking port at the end of that as well. So there's the possibility of adding either more solar panels in the future, or some sort of command module or whatnot. You know, there's all sorts of... As long as you've got the docking port and the connections, there's all sorts you can do with that. So now the mission was to get the second part. It's identical. It's an identical ascension. I think for some reason I paused now and was slightly... I couldn't think about what I wanted to do or what went wrong in that flight, such as why I still couldn't work out why the ascent profile wasn't right. I'm not sure why, to be honest. I'll skip ahead in the video. Yeah, so I waited around for a couple of minutes there. I'm not sure. I just got really caught up trying to think what was going on. You can see here I do a little overview. Well, it looks fine to me. So I'll head back in. Now I'm not going to make you watch the entire... I'm not going to make you watch the entirety of the other launch because it's identical to the first one, isn't it? What's the point? What would be the point? Unless... Oh... Yeah, what would be the point in showing you unless I spectacularly failed on this one too? Note, still no fins. I still hadn't cracked that one. I still had not worked it out. I'm not sure why. I will skip ahead though, because it is exactly the same. So, yeah, it's literally the same craft. Here's me circularising the burn for the second section. I'll skip a couple of minutes ahead. Yeah, I'm sorting out the descending nodes again. So again, it's basically identical. So here's me, 80 meters out. Now, what you'll see me do here, if I just move back a bit in the footage, so I'm 1 kilometre away at the moment, and I did say, using this, I decided to do a lazy method. Because now, the Kerbal National Space Station had a remote guidance unit set up with it. It didn't have that previously, so it didn't have access to all of the SAS markers. And, or, you know, the automatic nodes you can hook onto. So, this time it did. So I'm 100 metres away, and this is the lazy method that you can use. I learnt it off Matt Lown. He calls it the Lown lazy method, I believe. The Lown lazy method, TM, patent pending. But yeah, I got it into the light so that we could actually see what I'm doing, and I could explain it and show off what I'm doing and why it's useful. So again, point myself towards the target, retrograde, time warp a little bit forward. Okay. So now that we can actually see what we're doing, we're not on the dark side of the planet anymore. What you want to do for a lazy method, and it is lazy, I do it with all of my Apollo style ships. You know, we got a mothership and like the lander, the Eagle, as I always call it. You point at your target. You can see here I'm trying to select it, but what you do is, from here I was able to select my ship as the target from the space station. Then you hit follow target. Control from here, hit follow target. So you see that? It automatically orientates itself to my ship. I go back to my ship, do exactly the same thing on this ship. Point at the target. Make sure you're controlling it from the correct clampetron. Then, so you see here, control from here. Make sure, I had a bit of trouble actually finding the correct clampetron to set as a target, but that's apparently because I already had, and I didn't notice that I'd already set it. So you can see here I'm trying to find it. But yeah, what this does is, you don't see it, and you don't see it much on here because I actually lined up pretty easily, pretty quickly, particularly once I turned this round. But what that means is that if I go off course, the space station is now set to constantly follow that target marker. So it will immediately and automatically reorientate itself in the same direction. I wish I'd actually done something to display that properly, so you could see it properly. But yeah, that's what it means. So now I can point at the ship, and all I did was just thrust myself forward a little bit with some RCS. And you'll note, then did literally nothing else. Literally nothing else. So you can see here how the space station's following me around. It wasn't pointing that way before. This wasn't pointing that way before, the one I'd already set up. So yeah, decouple it. Again, use the RCS to try and move myself away. I once again forgot to add some sort of drone to it to be able to drone core to control it. Silly, I know, I had to get rid of it. The poor little space whales are endangered enough as it is, and that was not fair on them. But yeah, now I have my ship. I have my space station. So, I know that was a bit of a quick preview there, but I hope if you're having trouble with rendezvous, that could help even a little bit. Obviously, if you need more help with things, please do message me. If you watch my videos and you enjoy them, that's amazing. I've obviously been streaming quite a lot recently. I'm trying to make a lot more short-form videos such as this from now on. And this is what I like to do. So I'll be playing live streaming Kerbal virtually every day, weekday, some weekends, but I'll have to let you know on that front. But yeah, so otherwise though, yeah, follow my Twitter. I only have 3 followers at the moment because I only just set it up. It's a new Twitter handle. But yeah, follow my Twitter, subscribe on YouTube if that's what you like, or like the video, that would be awesome as well. I don't get many views to be fair, but yeah, look at that. And that's my thumbnail. I think I'm using that as my thumbnail. I haven't set that yet, but I quite like it. But yeah, so there you go. Whoops, daisy. There you go. That's how you do some rendezvous, and I showed you the actual method and the lazy method. But yeah, so until my next video then, or until I speak to one of you in the comments section, I'll see you then.